All right. I think all of the important buttons have already been pressed. Okay, so today we are kind of streaming all over the place. We're in the digital heavyweights room. We're in the Money morning room. And we're probably in some other rooms too. So there you go. Twitch, not Twilio anymore. That was an absolute dumpster fire, waste of time. But cool. Okay, we have some AI news. We always have AI news because AI, right? Every day. We'll get to some Q&A. Let's see. We will also do, in the main room. Well, for those of you in the main room, I can't see the chat for the main room. I don't even know if we have that. I don't even know if we have the power of that, but welcome. If you want to chat directly and have it show up like on screen, because we can do that. We have the power to do that. Bam. You have to use the either the Money Morning YouTube link or the other one. And then your comments and stuff can just appear like this and this and this. It's amazing the power we have with like simple technology. Oh, did you guys know you can use your, well, I'll show you. Hey Siri, open Chat GPT. Unlocked. Hey Siri, open Chat GPT. Bam. And then you just click on GPT-4. That's it. So they've now kind of connected. There's all sorts of stuff that's going to be very interesting to see how this all works together. Let's see if you're not hearing anything. Well, you probably need to touch some buttons. Anyway, cool. Okay, so let's get started. So we will do our non-commercial break. And then we will get going. We will look at AI news, markets, all that kind of cool stuff. Yeah, so that is that. I guess I need to bring that screen up a little bit, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, off we go. Okay, let's look at AI news first, because there's a lot of it. And there's always a lot of it because AI is moving very fast, and you have AI assisting in the supervised fine-tuning of AI. So these narrow AI systems are going to get more complex and more competent. And if you're not playing with them, you're going to get left behind. Still, I mean, I don't know what the new statistics are. I don't think they did polling between yesterday and today, but as of last week, only 1 in 4 people over the age of 50 are using AI. It's effing free, bro. Put ChatGPT on your phone and quit being a Luddite. God. I can tell you. Anyway, okay. So what's going on? Well, Adobe Express, right? For those of you that use the Adobe suite of like art stuff, which is pretty badass. Anyway, Adobe Express gets an AI overhaul. Adobe has integrated Firefly into the Adobe Express app, allowing users to quickly design posters, videos, flyers, TikTok crap, reels, and other graphics in seconds. And it's pretty freaking good. It's kind of an all-in-one Adobe Express. It's in beta right now. But it deeply integrates generative AI. So you have image and text effects germinated, that's gross, originated from a text prompt. So again, you say it and you get images and text effects. So like, oh, make it look more marbly or whatever. You get video editing and mixed media creation, compatibility with the normal Photoshop, multiplayer creation and more. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's high quality video editing and graphic design get a lot more easy and a lot more accessible, and more people probably not needed in the workforce. See, every one of these iterative upgrades is another swath of jobs. Bye. So look, if you take a chunk of data and you manipulate that data and you give it to someone else, you are obsolete. You will not have a job. I was talking to a friend of mine who is a web designer, and they're like, well, what do you think? I'm a web designer. I'm safe. I'm like, you are not. You are the nottest of the safe. You are not at all safe. I would be, and they're not even they're not using chat. They're like, well, I haven't really messed with chat. I'm like, oh my God, go to the plugin store, dummy. Like, you need to start working. You need to start, like, get your head out of the sand. You can't save everyone. Even remember, no, Jack, no. Does anybody think that at the end of like Titanic, she had like a huge floaty piece of wood? There was plenty of space for him. And she's like, no, don't go. He's like, but there's plenty of space right there. She's like, no, don't go. She like stiff-armed him off of the thing. There was tons of space. It doesn't make any sense. And she's like, yeah, it's a better love story if he dies. I get the ring to myself. Whatever. God, just anyway. All right. AI powered data analysis. So if you are in a job where you rely on engineers and data analysts to other job fields that are going away to create SQL queries or build dashboards, check out, there's a thing called parse.dev. I know this only applies to a small amount of people, but many of you are managing probably engineers on projects, things like that. You can go to parse.dev, and it's just a better, easier way to get access to data, right? Again, not an advertisement. That's why I'm not putting the link up there. But for those of you that are in that, you find yourself in that space. You don't have to have dependence on engineers and data analysts anymore. You save a bunch of time, makes you much more productive, and you will get a much more deeper insights faster. Anybody that runs any kind of company that has any kind of data, which I think that's everybody, I think you need to go check that out. But what you're going to see a lot more is ways to parse, collate, curate data, get access to data, data mining, data. You're going to hear data, D-A-T-A, a lot. And I think, in my opinion, that is the next commodity. That's the next big one. Hopefully you get that, right? Like they're already talking at like these large language models are already discussing creating synthetic data to start learning from, because they've run out of the easy available data, which makes private data very valuable, I think. Anyway, that's the way I see it. Okay. I showed you ChatGPT, like just using Siri for, I have to say it quietly or everybody's phones get hemmed up. ChatGPT now also has an iPad upgrade. So full screen iPad, Siri and more. So OpenAI released an update for ChatGPT on the iPad, optimizing it for the entire screen and adding a bunch of new features. So if it's cool. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. They added full screen display features. GPT on all iOS devices now supports drag and drop functionality, which allow drag and drop, not drag and drop like fire, drag and drop, which allows users to easily transfer like messages and other data. Plus, if you're taking like little chunks of this and that and using it in like, say, arguments when you're fighting against an insurance company that's being slow, dragging their feet on a payoff, and anyway, GPT-4 has made us so much money just fighting insurance companies and auto manufacturers, which, by the way, anyone, if you're in the market for a McLaren, the hybrid, don't get this first version of it. There's a problem with the hybrid system where it controls, all the controllers for the gas are in the hybrid system. The hybrid system battery gets too low, even if it doesn't say it's too low because it misreads the voltage. You can't turn the gas on. So you can have a full tank of gas And if there's a voltage spike and it doesn't get it, it just shuts the whole car down, gives you this big like red thing, like a red triangle, and it says like warning, hybrid system failure. And then you have to put it on a flatbed trailer. First world problems. Okay. Anyway, in addition to the drag and drop functionality, which is cool, users can summon ChatGPT using Siri and integrate it with Apple's shortcut feature, which allows automation and streamlined chat. And you're going to see this more and more. Everything's going to be, even all of these really cool plugins that are available right now, like, you know, you go to the plugins, you go look at plugins for ChatGPT, which are awesome, by the way. There's some badass plugins that do some cool stuff. But they're not instantly accessible through the phone. So I want that experience to be on my phone. Anyway, that's coming really, really quickly. So now GPT, voice control, automation, like basically you have Jarvis. We're all going to have Jarvis. Although I changed my Siri voice to like a different voice because I don't like the girl irks me. Not that women irk me, but that particular one irks me. So I changed it. Anyway, and then finally Clip Drop releases a bunch of free generative fill tools. You say, what's generative fill? So Clip Drop, which is a thing that's been designed by Stability Jeeves. No, I don't want Jeeves. I want Jarvis. I mean, I guess it's the same thing, only Jarvis is weaponized. Anyway, Clip Drop was designed by Stability AI, and it introduces Uncrop. It's an AI-powered outpainting tool. So it enables you to modify the aspect ratio of any image by expanding the background. So imagine taking a little image and then expanding the background just where there's clear space and then saying go, and it will do generative fill. Only it does it for free. So it's available free in the Clip Drop. Just like it sounds, Clip, CLIP-DROP, Clip Drop web app. You don't need login. You don't need to spend any money. It's free. This is another thing, like when people are like, my job is safe. Not only is your job not safe, it's going to be free. The things that many people do are going to be free. They're going to be features of these systems. Your job might not just be replaced by software. It'll just be a free feature. Think about that. It's not going to change the economy. I'm going to put my head in the sand and take my nickels and rub them together. Shut up. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool. So for those of you that want to play with it, it's called Clip Drop. It's neat. If you can take a picture, like a lot of people right now are doing this kind of cool thing, and they're taking like album covers that they like. I mean, I've never listened to, I don't know what an album cover looks like, but I guess it's like a bigger version of the CD case, which is a bigger version of the picture you see on iTunes, or Spotify. But anyway, you take that image, you put it in the middle of a blank page, and it will extend it. It will expand and just fill. It'll look at the image in the middle, and it will just create whatever the hell else is going on around it. It's pretty cool. So this particular one uses Stable Diffusion, which is from Stability AI, and it's a text-to-image model that reconstructs images and expands their visual canvas. It just kind of assumes like what could be happening in that blank space around this picture. Poof, and you get it, which is badass. Okay, and then really quick, for those of you super nerds, a couple of the extensions that you might like. There's a Chrome extension. So you can, although Bard sucks, that's Google's model, but you can there's a Chrome extension so that you can quickly search Google Bard on any site, which is kind of cool because Bard is getting better. They strip mined their AI department and they fired a lot of people. Laid off, released, did not renew contracts on a lot of people, but you'd hope they catch up. I mean, God, there's even there's an open source large language model right now that's like kicking ass. I think it's called Orca, and it is outperforming on a lot of metrics GPT-4. And it's funny because the people at OpenAI were like, well, private models are always going to be better. All these people are saying this, scientists too, data scientists and thought leaders. Oh, well, private systems are going to be much more powerful. They have more access to content. That's not the case right now. Orca is beating them up. And Orca basically, it's a large model it's trained. It's very interesting how they do the training, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially they look at the reasoning behind the outputs. So large language model, big pile of data, parameters, words, tokens in a bag. You put a lookup engine on top and you serve a next word prediction against whatever the query is. This is a big red ... bicycle, ball, house, whatever, right? Next word prediction. That's what large language models are. There's no intuition there. There's no agency. There's no one in the box, even though the outputs are really good, because next word prediction, if you put enough parameters in, looks really good. But you can get hallucinations and weirdness. But that's why these things are typically really bad at math. Well, Orca is trained on the reasoning rather than the next word predictive outputs. So it's going, okay, what is the reasoning behind these steps? What is it? And it pilfers what's going on at the other language models. It tries to, anyway, it's badass. If you're interested about it in that, you should go look up Orca large language model, and you could even say outperforming GPT-4. And there's a paper that was released that has all these metrics that it's basically whipping its ass. Anyway, hopefully Bard catches up, but I'm not holding my AI breath. If you want to take scenes and generate 3D images from them, you can use a thing called Spline, S-P-L-I-N-E. That's kind of cool. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of data tools that are coming out. If you're doing like low code app development, if you're an app developer, look up Noodle AI, Noodl AI, kind of cool. People that use Excel. There is a thing called Formula God, just like it sounds, Formula God, and it talks to Google Sheets with AI. So like people that are going back and forth, that's probably a pretty valuable tool. And already ChatGPT is really good at Excel spreadsheet formulas. You just keep explaining it. It'll just keep serving up formulas until you get the one that you like. If you want to integrate ChatGPT on your website for your users, anybody here that has their own website, you want GPT functionality, go look up Use Chat. USECHAT, all one word, Use Chat. And you can integrate ChatGPT and that functionality into your website, which is kind of, God. Anyway, so there you go. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of all the cool stuff. A lot of money being raised for GPT, and not just for GPT. They're raising a lot of money, but everybody in the AI space is raising a lot of money. It's like, here's the answer to that. How do you have time? Every time I'm doing something else. When I go work out or do cardio, I'm listening to podcasts. My only downtime is when I'm mutilating people in Population 1. So yeah. Does anybody, no one here plays Population 1. Scared to death. Get on there. You get, I'm not gonna trash talk, but you're getting melted if you're unlucky enough to be in one of our rooms. You get melted. It's free, by the way. This is another cool thing. For those of you that have the Oculus, there should be a lot of digital heavyweights that got Oculus. If you have an Oculus, you can download Population 1 for free. And it's very good for like hand-eye coordination and all that kind of stuff. It's also really good for trash talking. Super good for trash talking. Look up Population 1 and then friend me on there and you can come in. We've been having these big wars. It's really cool. You get there's like app developers and all sorts of stuff. So we nerd out and like shoot each other all the time. And just one last little bit on that. If you're getting started with Population 1, you need to practice jungle. Friend me, Doc Voodoo, just like it sounds, Doc Voodoo. Dude, it's so badass. I like tell myself I'm only going to play an hour a day, which is total BS because I've been like racking like 2 hours a day. But so what I've done to like balance out my murderous activity with something good is I'll play Population 1 for about an hour and a half, mutilate people, and then I'll go on to YouTube 360, and it's basically 3D YouTube. And I will go on adventures. I'm like, I'll go travel to Europe. I'll go travel to London. And I go do these travel things, which is like 10 or 15 minutes of floating through a city. It takes you to the museums. It's so badass. And then people are like, hey, do you want to go travel to London? I'm like, why would I travel to London when I can just do it on the Oculus for free? And then when I get bored, I can just, go and melt people into a rubble in Population 1. So anyway, God, it's a lot of fun. But if you're not, you got to play with all this stuff and kind of, I just really enjoy it. And that's the only time I'm not absorbing new content. Otherwise, I just have stuff pouring in, and then I try to space it out. I don't just listen. I listen to equal parts financial stuff, digital stuff, and science stuff. So I found a couple of good science podcasts, and then I just listen to those. Usually in the morning, I'm more receptive to science-y stuff. So the first couple hours of the day, I'm just absorbing science. And then after science, it's usually money stuff. I want to know what's going on in the greater financial space. And then later in the day, I kind of go back and forth between digital. The problem with the digital news is it's weak and thin and mostly bullshit. And so you have to be very careful how you parse that stuff. Like I get a lot of people that email me, what about this coin? What about this coin? I'm like, well, have you done your 5 T's? Have you looked at that coin? Does it look like something you'd buy? Somebody emailed me last night. Hey, what about this coin? While I was looking at their email, I just went, hey Siri, do you have any information on this? And oh crap, it turned on. And then the first thing that happened is it said scam coin. I'm like, oh God. Like if Siri found out it's a scam coin, and I haven't even finished the sentence yet, bro, there's so much crap out there. There's so many people that want to steal your money. And don't be fleeced if they're like, oh, I raised so much money. That doesn't mean anything. People Luna, broken math from the very beginning. Oh my God, the other thing from Luna, Jungle, I think you and I had talked about this a while back. Jungle is, by the way, those of you that are not listening to Jungle, he's probably the only, well, not the only, but one of the very few, very reasonable people in the XRP community. But he's also been in the crypto community for a long time. So he's a good resource. He's like a fair and balanced resource. For any of you, like if you have other YouTube things that you follow, you want to be following Jungle Inc. Anyway, we were talking a while back, this is like a year or two ago. You know that Luna, Do Kwon, the douchebag that's hiding out in Montenegro on house arrest, and he's going to get like 40 years in prison. He had already failed with Basis Cash. Does anybody here remember Basis Cash? So Luna was the second attempt, and Basis Cash completely collapsed. And on that one, there were still people looking for him. Like common sense. Publicly, one of his engineers was like, you can't guarantee people more than about 3.4%. He's like, why? We need to guarantee them 20%. Like, no, you can't. He's like, why? Because math, stupid. It's like everybody will always buy Luna. No, they will not. What happens if someone wants to sell Luna? No one will sell it. What? No, but they will turn it into UST. They will park UST at Anchor. They will get 20%. But what if they want to sell it? They will never sell it. What do you mean they will? No one will ever sell UST. Ever. Like it doesn't, these are Ponzi schemes. So raising money, I parted ways with a client who got really, really heavy into Luna and UST. I said, why'd you do it? Well, it's 20%. Did you ever ask yourself how they get 20% on US dollars? US dollars. If anybody, man, If anybody here promises you 20% on US dollars on stable coin, get the F out of there. Run. It is a racket. You can't do that. Because as far as I know, we're going to talk about repo later today, by the way. Fed funds is not paying 20 points, 2,000 basis points. Get off the gas. And these dummies, I'm not going to go into a whole thing about all the dummies that followed it, but man, Real Vision, they were all behind it and like sketchily involved. Binance, some of their board members were on the board of Luna and the Luna Foundation Guard. So you have Real Vision, you have Binance, all the D-bags at Binance. They were all together in on it, all of them. Novogratz and his band of idiots over in Canada. No offense, Canadians, but let's face it, you guys don't spit out the highest IQ individuals. There's not a lot of like deep science coming out of Canada. You have the highest, you do have the highest rate of adultery. So I guess good job, Canada. Like, God. Anyway, you got to be very careful because just because a project makes money, raises money, that does not mean that they are valuable, that there's quality there, or that they're not just there to steal all your stuff. Assume that people are going to steal all your stuff. And no, Howard, he can't help you get your 12K back from Coin Loan. Why were you on a platform called Coin Loan in the first place? And yeah, what would dummies do? So true. Okay, there, we nailed it. Oh, you have an Oculus. Let's see. It's not available. It is available. Look up Population One. Spell it like that. Population One. It's free. You just download it. It costs nothing. If you have an Oculus, you get Population One. If you get Population One, bro, you can battle. It's so good. Oh, they should give me some. They should give me, God, and they locked up my account. I had a level 61 account. And then for some reason, I was trying to log in from my phone. I got the login wrong because no one remembers all their goddamn logins these days because everybody's 1,000 of them. I got it wrong. And they froze that email. So I had to start a new one on a new email. So I have a level like 61 badass in Population One with all the cool skins that I can't access. And now I'm stuck on level 10 because I'm so cheap I won't pay for it. Although I could go into a whole thing about how cheap I am in the weirdest ways. I spend $50 at the movies and I'm like, yeah, bunch of popcorn and crap I'm never going to eat. and the movies are mostly forgettable. But for some reason, I don't want to pay $30 for a video game, which doesn't make any sense. And like, I'll drop $6,000 to go to Mexico, but I won't spend like, what is we're all weird like that. We all have like weird brain stuff. Okay. Anyway, yeah, be careful. Everybody wants to steal all your stuff. All right, let's talk markets. We probably need to look at them because, markets. So we'll look at the markets. I'll tell you what I see. I have been just swapping out rewards. For those of you that are doing the reward shuffle back and forth from BNB to Ethereum, using the bridge, blah, 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 between Hypercycle, Cogito. Eventually we'll do it with Sophiaverse. I'm guessing I'm just trying to arbitrage these high currently paying APY yield, whatever, these unbonded vaults at Singularity DAO. That's the only ones I'm using, unbonded vaults. And about every 2 to 3 days, I just take rewards and I swap it into whatever I think is the most unloved asset. Right now, that's Rejuve. I'm taking Hypercycle rewards, swapping them for Rejuve. And Cogito rewards, I'm just rolling them over. Those are they're sidelined at BNB, although at least the fees are low, but there's zero liquidity. No one gives a crap about the token. Super poor decision by the team, but they promise that they're fixing it. So whatever that means. Anyway, let's take a look at markets. Okay, now you can see everything. I readjusted these screens a little bit so that My stupid face wouldn't be over the prices and you can see the little hearts there. Okay. Are these all the assets in the cryptocurrency space? No. Like, obviously, no. However, I think that these are the ones that, at least for me, I either want to pay attention to because they're interesting, they are critical, they are valuable, or they are dummy coins. So please do not, with the volume off, well, you wouldn't hear this, would you? Don't go through and buy all this crap. Some of it's crap. It's just crap that I watch. I watch Doge because I want to know what dummies do. WWDD, what would dummies do? It's important. There's so many dummies. I watch XRP because I'm curious about what a bounce back might look like at the time of some settlement. And while I don't think that the token makes sense anymore, technologically, it's not anything unique. The ledger, the XRP ledger itself doesn't need XRP to function. There's no implicit reason to have bridge currencies. All of that stuff is done at the protocol level or at the side chain or layer 2 level. I don't know why this time and tide have passed it by. Okay, that being said, there's probably a trade against the settlement. Beyond that, it's probably something I would work my way out of. Ethereum is a very frustrating layer 1. It's very expensive, but unfortunately, most of the quality Ethereum, that's tricky because there's like 50,000 garbage piles and junky projects on Ethereum, but that's where the real depth in the in liquidity is. And if you want to launch a project, I mean, still you launch it on Ethereum, because even though there are technically much more superior platforms, they just haven't picked up enough market share. Like ideally, you would be picking up assets. Cardano would launch something and someone would care, or Matic would, as a layer 2, or Cosmos. It's just that no one cares. And that's the unfortunate reality. Is we live in a world where things launch on Ethereum. When they launch on other things, they just don't get a lot of eyeballs. So when I hear like, oh, this thing launched on Cardano, yeah, that's great. It's probably the most quality team in all of crypto. Doesn't matter. If the people don't go, it don't matter. I will say this, it's almost, if it gets to 30 cents, right, a little bit lower, then it's a 90% down from its all-time highs, which I continue to dollar cost average into it. You do you, but I continue dollar cost average into it because it's the best team. I think the future is multi-chain, and I like a lot of the things that Cardano is doing. I also like what they're doing with the privacy token, which will be called Dust. It's the Midnight protocol. Will be a privacy side chain, and that's why I'm watching privacy coins, because I'm just looking at the price action and seeing if there's anything new in the world of privacy. Bitcoin itself is not all that exciting to me, but it is a litmus. It is the ultimate temperature check for the health of the crypto space, at least psychologically, sentiment based. That's what people think. So there you go. Okay, moving down the list, Polkadot, no one cares. I mean, it's Gavin Wood, and that's important, but I think that thing's pretty much dead in the water. I'm reluctant to put any money in it. I don't know, maybe around $3. Maybe around $3, I might look at it again. And it's bound to do something in an expansionary market. But I don't know. I can't find a reason to own it personally. And again, so there you go. Cosmos, I can find a reason to own it. It's done quite well when a lot of these other tokens have gotten punished. Now, it's way down from its all-time high, but it's been very consistent, even over the last year. Look, it's up 6% on the year, but it's been relatively speaking, crypto is not consistent, but it's relatively consistent. It's kind of like, it's like a better version of it. It pays 20%, man. Now, I'm not going to get into the nuances of how it pays, what it pays. Those staking returns that you're getting are part of their marketing budget to spread the token. You're not going to get that forever. Those are going to wind down at some point. And then you would be getting paid a portion of fees, and there would be some structure. It's proof of stake project. It's just their tech, their code is very solid. They've done a lot of really cool work. My guess is Cosmos gets absorbed into some other platform. I don't know why we haven't seen the mergers in the layer one space, but I feel like it's coming. I don't think anybody's really kind of talking about this. As far as I've listened around, no one's talking about layer one mergers. I think we're going to start seeing some layer one mergers. And I mean, imagine you start imagining if Algorand, if all the A's got together, Algorand, Atom, Cosmos, right, and Cardano, if they all just threw in together, now they have something to say against Ethereum. Now people start going, maybe this makes sense. So I think that would be very interesting. I don't know what that would look like, but people much smarter than us, I promise you, are probably talking about that. Big data, Filecoin, yes. Near, no. Cool tech, no one cares. VeChain, risky. China, by the way, China reopening is a big fat goose egg. It is a complete fail. And it turns out if your economy was failing before COVID, then after COVID, it's still failing. Doesn't matter if you give a couple stimmies to some people. Turns out that doesn't change anything. That's what we're seeing right now in the US. Like wise up. 2019 wasn't a stellar effing year. It wasn't a banner year. So all of the same problems, incongruities, collateral scramble, all the same crap. The problems with the pension fund system, the problems with unserviceable amounts of debt, all that, nothing has changed. Nothing. We just papered over the problem. The low oil light in the economy came on in 2018, 2019. And then COVID, we got saved by COVID. Yeah. You know what they did? They just took the low oil light and just unplugged it. You're like, you're fine. You're like, what? Wait a minute. But there's still no oil. Yeah. Shh. No, you're fine. Drive. What happens if it shh? Anyway, so China reopening has been a huge fail, which kind of an obvious fail. And VeChain is a project that is pretty tethered at the waist to China. And, so that's what it's going to be. But you know what? At less than 2 cents, I mean, it maybe makes sense as a lottery ticket. I do have some. I think I parked it over at Bitrue, Bitrue, and it's just collecting like dust interest. But if it ever does anything, then it does anything. Graph token is a yes for me. It's kind of a layer one. It's a layer 1.5. It kind of sits between layer ones, like protocol layers and dApps, things like that. So I think it's important. I also think that even if it's not directly AI related, that's the story they're trying to tell. And in that kind of weird, perverse, quasi-fraudulent story, a lot of douchey, guru-y, Tika Tuari, scumbag, dirtbag, dumpster diving, locution, snake oil salesmen are telling you to own Graph. What would dummies do? Well, dummies listen to those other dummies and they buy stuff. So you're going to see, I think Graph will do quite well in the expansionary market. 20% of that's because the project is good. 80% of that is because people are stupid. You know what? The end result is veterans and people that like think 15 to 18 months into the future, they do good. We do good. All right. Algorand. Man, I don't know. I bought my last Algorand. Was it Wednesday? It might have been Wednesday after our show or before, whatever. Anyway, my last purchase of Algorand, I got up to my number. I'm at my number. That's whatever happens now happens. I don't know. Maybe I guess I'd probably double my number if it got to, 6 cents or something. But like, great team. Well, a lot of brains at that team. No marketing, no desire to communicate with the public, but they're fine taking our money. But they just don't care to communicate with us. I mean, you get what you get. They're just a kind of an arrogant group of people, and their arrogance is being rewarded, as you can see. And yeah, Pilgrim, it might be Betamax, unfortunately. I think they're going to get gobbled up by somebody else. I don't know. I used to think that all of the partnerships and agreements and just like the general nepotism that occurs in business, that Silvio's connections, via MIT and all the other, like I thought that would mean something. We'll see. We'll see in the next expansion phase what happens. If this thing is not over, it's bound to get a buck, right? In a market expansion. I think we probably see these things really start to move with some velocity pre-Bitcoin halving as we approach the spring of 2024. I think the end of this year, kind of September, October-y, is going to be really good. So I got my little gut radar keeps saying September, October. So we'll see if the gut radar pays off. Render, it was a lot of hubbaloo, whatever that word is. It was a lot of talk and bluster over kind of nothing. They were supposed to be deeply integrated in the new Apple Vision Pro, but doesn't seem like that's the case. But there's a bunch of talking head douchebags that just talk about it all the time. It's kind of it's like a hack job version of NewNet, I think, but with better publicity. So there you go. Okay, Flow, nope, complete fail. It's a layer one in the NFT space, and they are just a complete failure. Just cool stuff, but very poorly managed business vision. I mean, just really, really missed it. Just had it in their hand and just missed it. Okay. Ocean, it's big data. I like it. I want it. I want more of it. I'm going to buy more of it. If it gets into the 20 cent range, I'm going to back up the truck. I still don't have my position built in Ocean yet. We'll see. Zcash. Wow. What can you say from 2,200 to 29 bucks? You can say that people are not big fans of Zcash. Well, it makes sense, right? Crack down on stable coins, crack down on privacy coins. That's low-hanging fruit, right? I can comment on Tezos. Not necessary. They got in a lot of trouble when they first launched. I remember the one of the people that was launching Tezos was like borderline maybe going to jail. But like for what happened at Tezos, it was very sketchy. There was a lot of Go look up early illicit activity Tezos. Just Google that and see what kind of rabbit hole you go down. Okay. I don't think anybody was ever finally, I think everything was settled and people were compensated, but it looked real sketchy. So I just stayed away from it, never owned any of it. Yeah, there you go. Optimism, yes. And yes, I know they had a dilution event where they dropped some tokens and all this kind of stuff. I don't care. I think I'm going to keep a position commensurate to my Matic position. I keep all my layer twos kind of similar. So that's me. You do you. Arweave, big data, and it's getting into the place where I'd like to buy it. So I'm watching it fetch. Yay. But they need to get off their ass and start actually doing something that does something. Like I get it. We're AI. Okay, do something. Oh, AI parking. All right, cool. Put an app out. Do something. Fetch, do something. Don't just talk about doing something. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do shit. Actually do something. How about that? How about you actually do something? And they need to actually do something. It's not enough just to be, oh, we're in the AI space. Yeah, cool. That got you many multiples. It made us a lot of money. I'm not a hater. But look, dude, they need to do something. Do something. I doubt they will hear that message. All right, Ravencoin. No, it's stupid. I just have a lot of it because it got landlocked on that Cryptopia exchange that got stuck for many years ago, and I'm still waiting to get my stupid tokens out. And by the way, I watched it go to 29 cents, and I was just stuck. I had doesn't matter. It's too frustrating. Makes me lose my lunch. I had a McLaren's worth of it. I'll put it that way. I had a McLaren's worth of Ravencoin. How about that? Harmony 1, it's a layer 2. I like it, but no one else seems to be very excited about it. If it gets below a penny, I'm going to add 1 million of them because it's cool to have 1 million of anything. You're like, I got 1 million of these. I'm a harmony millionaire. I don't know what that means. Numeraire is kind of It's a no for me, but it is interesting to watch. Singularity DAO is a no for me. They need to create some use. They need to create some utility and some necessity for the token. They need to give me a reason to own the token. That reason does not exist. However, they say they are redoing it. There's an SDAO V2 coming. And at that point, there will be a reason to own the token. I mean, it's kind of simple, right? You guys see, like, they have all these vaults and cool crap, right? Okay, good. They did this thing. Great. So they have all these vaults and where you can earn all these currency units. Like, yeah, look at those currency units. I can earn all those currency units. That's not all the tokens, by the way. They left off. Oh, wait, that's our 45%. Where is the? Oh, 53%. Crap, man. Anyway, look, point is, they should just make it where you need to own Singularity DAO in order to participate. Like, this is common sense. It's one button they could push, and then the token would have utility. I don't know why they won't push the button. I've messaged Mario and Marcelo and said, you should push that button. This is very easy. This is common sense. A golden retriever could do it. They have not done it. That is frustrating to me. And that's why I will not add the token. I have my original portion that I bought. It's in there. It gets staking reward. Sorry. It gets yield, marketing, whatever, rewards. I immediately cash them out whenever they free them up, and I just turn them into USDC. There we go. Okay. More in the AI Rejuve. Not necessary right now. I do like the price being down, so I've been adding it through staking rewards via Hypercycle. So it's almost 10-1, which is cool. So I take out, I wait until I've gathered up like 1,000 Hypercycle tokens from rewards. That gets me 10,000 Rejuve. Yes, because math. All right. NewNet, I like it at these levels. I've always been buying. When I say always, I mean always. Since Rejuve started, I've been buying about at or under the 4 range. It went down to a penny. I kept buying. It went up when it went up to 10. I sold some of that off because 10x take 20. That is the rule. Whenever anything is a 10x, you take 20% off the table because math. You need to win at some point. Anyway, is this a long-term hold? I don't know. I think it'll run at some point, but there's no reason to own the token. So I'm only using rewards to buy it, not new money. NewNet, I will use new money because I believe it needs to exist. Hypercycle needs to exist. Cogito, I'm not so sure. I'm not certain that they've created a reason for us to own the token yet. The idea of stable coins as a service sounds cool until you kind of look into it and go, how do I make money on stable coins? It's cool, but like whatever. All right. And what about AGIX? You shouldn't have to ask about AGIX. We love AGIX. That's like the godfather of all of them. That's SingularityNet. By the way, the AGIX token will also be instrumental in Sophiaverse. So that's coming, looks like the last week of this month, 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that. I keep looking to see if they give me an updated date. But anyway, I don't see it. Anyway, so we're looking probably like the 28th, 27th, 28th, 29th, something like that. That's when we should expect that. Beth Ann asks, since Flow is out, what would be the replacement? Well, it doesn't mean there's a replacement. There's just not always a replacement. I don't think there's the only other layer 1 that's used for NFTs really is Ethereum. So yeah, I don't think there's not a replacement for Flow. There's just Flow sucks. All right. Let's switch gears for a little bit. We're going to talk. We have been doing about 2 weeks of hard, deep, heavy, intense, kind of fun. What would we call it? It's not education, but it's definitely a dive. It's a dive into the repo market. So we are going to continue that. We're going to try to finish up today. We're going to talk the types of collateral and reverse repo. So that's cool because, that stuff's important. So relax, quit thinking about money for a second. Quit, de-stress. Remember, some of this is my opinions, man.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right. So here's what we're doing. We have looked at what is the repo market. We looked at repurchase agreements. We looked at GC repo, general collateral. We looked at bespoke repo, bespoke two-party, and there's actually technically three-party, but bespoke, when you have very specific, special, unique assets, collateral. We looked at repo fails. We looked at the idea of rehypothecation. But one thing we haven't really talked about, we've generalized on the types of collateral. So we need to talk about that. We need to talk about types of collateral. And then we need to talk about reverse repo. So people are like, what's the reverse of it? But it is exactly what it sounds like. You're like, well, why would anyone do that? Because you monetize everything in a balance sheet. If your whole reason to exist for business is to manage a balance sheet, then you manage everything. And if you can monetize assets or you can monetize cash, you do it. I mean, all the time people put up cash to get treasuries, to put the treasuries into the repo market to get cash, to get paid a return. Why? Because collateral is worth more than the money. Collateral has value. So anyway, we'll get into all that. So let's start by talking about the different types of collateral that you may hear about. And I know that if someone shook you at 3 a.m, it may be tricky, but by about 3 p.m, if someone asked you, you could work your way kind of logically through the different types of collateral used in the repo market. And even if you don't know the verbiage or the nomenclature, you would basically get it. So let's chat a little bit about the types of collateral. So you have a variety of, well, the idea that it's high quality is a little tricky. It's a little nebulous, but you assume that the majority of the collateral that is used in the repo market is highly liquid and high quality securities, right? HQHL, high quality, highly liquid. We want that. What we don't want is like highly illiquid, bullshitty, low quality garbage trash, which unfortunately we'll see. So as I read off these different pieces of collateral, I want you to rate them. For those of you that are around in the chat, I want you to rate these pieces of collateral. Are you ready? Let's start with government securities. So these are the most commonly used type of collateral in the repo market because they're perceived as low risk. It includes treasury bonds. So just think bills, notes, bonds, treasury bonds, notes, and bills. Short. So if you go from short to a long maturity, bills, notes, bonds, B&B, bills, notes, bonds. And this is from the US and also other countries that might have strong and stable economies. Cool? So government securities is the first one. Yeah. And listen, the rating that you give them, it can be good, bad, indifferent, sucks, doesn't suck, garbage, light it on fire, step on it, AAA, AA. This is your ratings. Like, would you rate these things the way you rate them? Okay. Next, agency securities. Agencies. Agency securities are securities issued by U.S. government-sponsored enterprises such as Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the agricultural ones. This is not called AgroMac, but you get it, right? So agency securities, I mean, you might remember back to 2007 and 8 and how that didn't, work out so well. But again, this is all considered quality collateral. It's so crazy. Here's where we get spicy. Corporate bonds. Corporate bonds. So these are bonds that are issued by corporations, and they are a little bit riskier than government or agency securities. By the way, I'm reading them to you in the way that they order them, right? So that when they order, if there's like a stack of collateral, they go government securities first, agency securities second, corporate bonds. Okay, so these are the bonds like Apple. They issue, and you start going, oh, they could pull some shenanigans. Yes, they could. And a lot of corporate bonds are not even triple B. They're double B or lower, which makes them, anyone? If it's not investment grade, it's called either high yield or junk. You don't want to own, does anybody want to own junk? Anybody wake up today and be like, I want to own some junk? No. Oh, like Enron. Enron was not even junk. Enron was just vapor. Anyway, next we have municipal bonds. So these are bonds issued by states, cities, and other local government munis. You hear munis all the time. Munis can be good, or they can be just dust, like vapor. Again, we're already, once you get to corporate bonds, everything else is kind of wallpaper. Right? So you have munis, municipals, again, issued by states, cities, and other local government entities. Right. Okay. Equity securities. This is the next one. Equity securities. So these can be used as collateral, although they are less common due to their very, very high volatility compared to bonds. So like, I know, equity securities. You're like, what the smoke? Yep, they exist and they get traded. Mortgage-backed securities, MBS. So when you hear MBS are not single bonds. They are bonds that are backed by a pool of mortgages. So pooled mortgages end up in MBS. And you say, MBS, what's the other one that sounds like that? Well, that's ABS, asset-backed securities. This is similar to MBS, but these are backed by a pool of assets such as car loans, credit card debt, what have you, right? So you might think, okay, is it more likely that someone won't pay their house or that they won't pay their credit card? I mean, I think it's more likely that people just tell the credit card company to F you. They're making their house payment, right? And then I would say car loans, sometimes people just quit paying. So, yeah. So anyway, mortgage-backed, bonds backed by a pool of mortgages, asset-backed. It's kind of like that, only it's more risky garbage, like car loans, credit card debt, etc. Then you have one that very few people talk about. You don't hear it very much. It's called supranational bonds. Supra, not super like woo-woo, superhero. No, supranational bonds. And these are bonds issued by supranational entities like the World Bank. You're like, ooh, what is that? That's not even a real thing, is it? Like, oh yeah, they make loans. They do all their own crap. The World Bank is like, the BIS and the World Bank, they're kind of, they're very weird. They're very weird entities. They're kind of banks, kind of not. But anyway, those are supranational bonds. The type of collateral typically chosen in and around repo depends on the agreement between all the parties involved. If it's a pool of generally accepted, that's going to be GC. And you see how it goes. So anyway, those are the types of collateral. Again, it all depends on a borrower and a lender. And most GC repo is overseen by kind of an entity. It's like, look, this is the crap. This is the money. Let's exchange the crap for money. Great. That's how GC typically works. So there, even though it's two-party, there's always like a kind of an intermediary. Anyway, it's mostly driven by risk tolerance and return. So like in any investing, if you get paid more, there's more risk. So anything above what they call risk-free, which there's no risk-free, like any government could pull some shenanigans at 4 a.m. and it's no longer risk-free. Look at, Argentina. They default every 7 years, except set your watch by it. But the general idea is that lower risk in collateral generally means a lower return in the repo rate and vice versa. So the further you go down, as you go down from government securities, agency securities, corporate bonds, munis, equity securities, mortgage-backed, asset-backed, and then supranational, by the time you get to the bottom, it's all dog shit. But they pay you a lot for that. And so there's a little bit of musical chairs going on there where people are kind of gambling. They're like, okay, I hope we don't get discovered today, right? Like, I hope we're good. Anyway, okay, so there's that. Let's do this. Let's talk a little bit reverse repo, and then I'll spin you into the weekend, and you can go waste $740 watching Transformers like I'm going to do tonight. All right. A reverse repo transaction, which stands for a reverse repurchase agreement, is a financial term that involves borrowing and lending between the central bank, like the Federal Reserve, U.S., even though it's not a central bank, and commercial banks. So imagine you have some money saved up and you want to earn some extra interest on it, like cash. You could deposit it at a bank, and the bank would pay you some very meager interest rate for keeping your money with them. Like most of you get like dust, like nothing, like 20 basis points or something. This is a regular repo where you lend money to the bank, they give you some interest on it, and they lend it out. You're doing a repo transaction right there, right? Now, flip it around. In a reverse repo, the central bank wants to borrow money from the commercial bank instead of lending it to them, right? So why would a central bank want to borrow money? Well, sometimes the central bank wants to reduce the amount of money circulating in the economy because they think they have some control over that, which is asinine because the Fed is not a central bank and they deal with coupons. But in theory, again, I'm giving you the theory, sometimes the central bank, let's say if it's outside the United States where there's actual central banks, sometimes a central bank wants to reduce the circulating money supply in the economy and they want to control inflation or stabilize the financial system. Okay, so this is kind of what happens in a reverse repo situation. The central bank offers to temporarily borrow money from the commercial bank, and in return, it gives them some of its assets like government bonds or treasury bills. Now, the key here that's interesting is you're thinking like, well, isn't that the same as the bank going and buying those? No. A bank can in many ways make more by lending money to a central bank and taking on their collateral, their T-bills or their government bonds, like during that repo transaction. It's pretty cool, right? You're like, isn't it the same? It is not exactly. It's a distinction with differences. So anyway, it gives them some of its assets like government bonds, treasury bills. The commercial bank lends their excess funds to the central bank, which again takes money out of supply. It also means that unless that commercial bank that just took on, that gave them cash and took on that collateral, unless they take that collateral and repledge it in repo, they don't have that cash. They're not going to lend against that cash, right? So you could see the kind of idea, the tightening idea behind it. In simple terms, a reverse repo is like the central bank asking a commercial bank to lend them money for a short time. And in exchange, the central bank gives them hopefully high quality, highly liquid assets as collateral. This helps the central bank attempt to manage the amount of money in the economy and hopefully keep things running smoothly, which is not the way, it's really not the way it works, but this is the theory behind it. So now you have it. So we've covered over the last 2 weeks. And for those of you that have just joined the Digital Heavyweights, check out every single show from last week to this week. We covered repo in depth. We covered GC repo, bespoke repo. We covered repo fails, rehypothecation. We looked at the different types of collateral and we looked at reverse repo. Whew. Isn't it laundering? No, Steve, it's not laundering when they do it. It's monetary policy. It's only laundering when we do it. All right. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything that my poor, insolvent, drunk, strung out on meth grandmother or EMEG wouldn't do. For those of you that are just kind of occasionally tuning in, you can join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Digital Heavyweights. If you want to just kind of occasionally sniff the edges, we have a Digital Fortune and AICI, which is content that we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Until someone pays me more money, I'll see you then. But I enjoy this. I enjoy nerding out. I like nerding out in finance. You're going to nerd out in anything? I mean, VR and finance, two good. I have to nerd out in finance. Otherwise, I can't afford to sit on the Oculus and melt people with the P90. That thing holds, God, you get a gold P90, it holds 65 rounds. You're not going to reload. You're not going to reload before I melt you to zero. That's it. It's not getting done. This is a fair warning to all of you. Fair. I have an Oculus. I have the Pro and I have the Oculus 2, but the 2 is better. The Pro sucks. Sorry, Meta. The Oculus Pro sucks. I mean, the Meta Pro sucks. It's terrible. It hurts your forehead. It's visually awesome, but it just freaking hurts. Anyway, deuces and stay out of trouble.